Hi friends, and welcome to week 4 of Healing Starts at Home. I'm Beth Krause, your guide in this journey of faith-based functional healing with Grace Anatomy, and I'm glad you're here today. We're talking about something that not many others are talking or telling you about. That healing is not just about detoxing or getting rid of things, eliminating and adding back. It's about rebuilding what has been lost, so that your gut, your hormones, your energy, and your mind can finally work together again. Because if you don't rebuild it, you are going to stay stuck in this survival mode. And survival mode is no place to continue to build. You need to get out of survival so that you can thrive. So let's get into it. Let's start here, where you are still bloated and foggy, anxious, or exhausted. Even after diets or supplements or even the cleanse. And if you haven't started any of that, then you need to start somewhere. But if you have gone through all of that and you're still feeling stuck, it's because those things alone don't rebuild your foundation of your health. So most people do all of the killing off of everything, the killing of the parasites, the killing of the candida, the killing of the infections or the bacteria or the fungus, but they forget to refeed and repair the systems that got overwhelmed in the first place, right? They forget to go back and nourish those roots and repopulate that soil that needs to be amended, like I talked about in the clips about my garden. So if you're not amending and giving nutrition to the soil, the roots never get fed. They can't be sustained to grow. So let me tell you this, if your gut wall is still leaky, and if your stress response is still stuck in the fight or flight mode, and if your microbiome is still starving for the good bacteria, it doesn't matter how many cleanses you do, you'll keep getting stuck. And the symptoms will continue to come back. So we want to get you out of this continual cycle. So let's look at some real functional cues that I can pick up on, because when you do a lab analysis and a lab test with me, I can actually see where there are some areas where you are stuck in that survival mode. And if you understand how to read them, then you can actually see some of these areas before they become chronic, or you can get out of them as they are acute. So some of the things that I want to see is if they're low, I want to know if you're absorbing your proteins well. If you're not absorbing your proteins well, it means that your gut wall is actually weak. If you have low ferritin, for example, you're probably in chronic gut, you probably have chronic gut inflammation, or you could have an infection that could be the thief of that iron, right? If you have certain cell counts that are low or actually extremely high, that's not always a good sign either. And it can mean that your immune system is completely exhausted. If you have elevated blood counts in other areas, it means there could be parasites or hidden allergies could be draining your gut and your immune system. And then we also want to look at these other blood markers that show whether or not your nervous system is hijacked by stress. Is your blood sugar high? That could be a sign of overload, stress overload. And is it low? Because that can show inflammation in your gut lining or that your hormones are out of whack. So those are some markers that would be cues for me to go deeper. Look into the root cause of what's causing some of the signs and symptoms that you might be going through when I look and do a lab analysis for you. Here's what I want to hear today. Healing is a 3-part process. So one thing we want to do, the first thing, is we want to remove what doesn't belong, right? We want to get rid of it. Obviously, that's one of the things that we talked about already. We want to rebuild what's been lost, and that's what we're talking about today. And then we've talked about nourishing what makes you thrive. And that could be with removing the trash in your life, which we did that series on removing the trash. If you missed out on that, go back and watch my other YouTube series on Take Out the Trash. And building up and nourishing the nutrients in your diet, whether it be with your food and nutrition, supplements, or herbs. Let's restore that and nourish you on a nutritional basis. And also making sure that you're hydrated. Let's look at your sleep system and how your sleep hygiene is working for you. Let's nourish you emotionally, support you spiritually, and walk alongside you there too. All of these things come to these pillars of true healing. And we've talked about removal in the last few weeks, about parasites and candida and the heavy metals, but today we are focusing on the rebuilding process. We've even talked about getting rid of those zombie cells, right? So understanding that your gut lining is 1 cell thick, and it should be a tight junction. It should be tight together like this, right? But when it gets damaged, it pulls apart, and that's considered leaky gut. So we don't always absorb what we need to. So what can rebuild this once the damage is occurring? Well, we want to get things into our nutrition, either herbally or through whole foods, or through really good supplements, right? So things like bone broth and collagen, really good. Oh goodness. I didn't take my superfood this morning. So superfood is really good, like your green drink that you would have in the morning. So your amino acids are really good. They soothe, they help seal that tight junction. And herbs is so important. And also taking out then those overly processed foods in your diet. So those ditching sugar is so inflammatory for your gut. I cannot even tell you guys, and I've said it almost every single week. Now, sugar sometimes as an indulgence, sure. But sugar every day for everything, and it's hiding in so many processed foods, packaged foods. Shop the perimeter of the store, people. So I'm not saying be perfect in how you're living, but try to be the best version that you can be. especially if you're struggling with chronic problems, like I am today with my words. Oh my goodness. So anyway, so ditching sugar and processed foods, they keep the inflammation alive in your gut. So, and actually in your brain and everything. So you want to be able to reduce and remove as much of those inflammatory foods as possible. And sugar is one of the highest ones when you're struggling with this response. So if you're looking at your gut wall as this fortress, your nervous system is the general to the fortress. So chronic stress, like past trauma, constant worry, and fear, that all keeps your gut inflamed, and your immune system is stuck in overdrive then. So you will want to bring on some allies to your army, right? So that's when we bring in some supportive herbs, some supportive nutraceuticals, and then definitely support by good whole nutrition. These are things that I walk alongside my patients in our practice. So we start with getting to the root cause, making sure that the trash has been taken out in the 5 pillars of health, and coming alongside looking at functional labs, or looking at labs through the functional lens, and then coming through and how can we support this pathway, bringing in the allies for your army in your fight to thriving versus just surviving this war that's being waged on your system. Herbal allies are huge, and I do have an apothecary here that I can mix just certain things just for individuals, and adaptogens are really huge for a lot of people. Also, making sure that we have lifestyle practices in place. I always start out with a morning routine, and I do have my morning routine series linked as a free gift to you in the description on this YouTube, in the description in the YouTube. Yeah, I already said that. So you can grab that link and download that if you would like to grab that. But morning prayer, gratitude, I mean, it's hard to start off a bad day when you've already given 3 things you're thankful for before your feet even hit the floor. And then another thing I do, even if I don't want to, I smile at myself in the mirror every morning. That's one of the first things. Do you know how goofy it looks to smile at yourself in the mirror? It makes me laugh every morning. And then to think about laughing at yourself. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can, right? So just remember to laugh at yourself every morning by starting out smiling. It just gives you a more positive take on your day, right? Then also learning how to really breathe. How many of us take time in the day? Of course, we're all breathing, right? Or we wouldn't be here. But have you slowed down enough to really take a moment, hand over your chest, hand over your abdomen, and take a breath to be able to notice how deep you're breathing? Are your breaths staying up here in your chest, or are you getting way down deep into your gut? Do you breathe that deep? And can you be consciously aware of that deep breath? Can you bring it all the way in? And then can you release it all the way down deep? Do that in a cycle of 3, holding it at the top and then releasing it and holding it at the bottom. Do that in a cycle of 3, 4 times. Just do that and be so very conscious. And then fixing on something in your room or something outside your window that makes you happy while you're doing it. It shifts you from that constant fight or stress into this relaxation and this attitude of gratitude, when we can understand how and why and take that time and moment in space. And I always say, take the time, give space for grace, right? And then also that gentle movement, especially if you're in a state of chronic fatigue or chronic pain, just some kind of movement, any kind of movement. Or if you're stuck behind a desk all day, move your feet, do ankle lifts, do leg raises, move your arms throughout the day, but do movement. Just something gentle. On your breaks, take a lap around your chair if you have to, but do some kind of movement. Gentle movement is all you need to get started. Excuse me. Your whole body is this unique, individually, we have this we're all bio-individuals, right? And after we've cleansed, or if you haven't even started, we need to rebuild and reseed our guts. We need to get these good guys, our good soldiers, back into our gut so that it can absorb the nutrients that need to be absorbed, that it can build up our immunity, that it can break down the ick to get the waste out, and that we can really take in the nutrition that we need to take in. So probiotics are huge, fermented foods, prebiotic foods are good. And then also, if we need that extra help, there is really good superfoods. I have one particular company that you cannot get this particular superfood anywhere in the world. They have the corner on the market, and they have the best superfood that you can get. And supplementing with their superfood is really the best. I know that's a bold claim to make, but they are the only one that has this particular superfood that is spore-based probiotics to restore your gut's army. And that is extremely important, especially if you've been compromised for a very long time. So why isn't just doing it by yourself enough? And why would you work with a practitioner, and why does that matter? Well, let me tell you something that might be hard for some of you to swallow, but it is true. Trying to figure out navigating all of these health issues alone, it can be expensive and exhausting because you're guessing. You're piecing together Dr. Google blogs, and you're never seeing the full picture. That's why I read your labs differently from a functional perspective, and I can look at patterns. I don't look at just normal ranges. They're much too broad. I'm seeing where your body is saying, help me rebuild. I can't do it alone. Your body was designed to heal, but because of things that we have introduced, because of the fall of man, because of the pollutants, the toxins, and as you can see, our American diets. And if you've watched what has happened on Capitol Hill, not in Minnesota, but nationally, all of the food dyes, additives, preservatives, poisons that they have added to our commercially packaged foods that are banned in other countries. We have thousands of them compared to their hundreds in other countries. We have been poisoning ourselves slowly and steadily, causing these chronic illnesses. That's why this final step is the most important of all. Letting someone walk with you, helping you navigate all of these ups and downs, all of these intricacies of our health. This is why navigating it alone is a long, costly cycle that in the end, taking inaction costs you way more and a longer term cost to your health and your longevity. I want you to know this because the cost of doing nothing is it's not just feeling bloated tomorrow. It's losing years of your health. It's missing out on moments with your kids or your grandkids or your loved one. It's feeling like you're a shell of who you used to be. But I do have great news. Nothing changes unless something changes. But everything can change. So you don't have to keep guessing and you don't have to keep fighting alone because you have allies and I'm one of them. So if you're ready to rebuild your health for real and not just put a Band-Aid on it, I'd love to help you. So I have a link to book a call with me and we can look at your labs together and we can create a plan that's built for your unique body, your story, and I can walk along with you and your faith. Because healing starts at home, but you don't have to do it alone. We weren't designed to be islands. We were designed to be communities. And we were designed to be in fellowship with one another. So I hope this helps give you hope that there is a way to freedom in your health. Between the Take Out Your Trash series and the Healing Starts at Home, along with the Senolytic Cleanse and my upcoming metabolic reset, the Reset Your Health from Within, we can analyze your labs, we can bring you into the community of healing, and you don't have to do it alone. So join me, book a call so we can get you on your path to healing and longevity. I will see you soon, next week, same time, same place, with another topic. See you soon.